What's going on, everybody? It's your boy BJ. DJ, you are now tuned into the rewrap. This is episode 20. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. The rewrap's available on all streaming platforms. And if you haven't tapped in with them boys at Over the Top with Chad and Tony, make sure you do so. You can catch me on there as a recurring guest talking about movies and nostalgic wrestling. Episode 20. Let's get to it. Now, a lot to talk about since the last episode that we dropped. We've had the Grammys, and we've had the Super Bowl. And with both of those events, there has been some controversy surrounding either people winning an award and what the message was that the artist was trying to present in the Super Bowl. Let's start with the Grammys. The biggest complaint I have about the Grammys is I feel like it's become unwatchable in a sense that they are placing people in categories I don't feel like they deserve to be in, and they're also giving awards to people who are virtually unheard of. And that's been a pattern for many years. Artists have spoke out about how they won't go to the Grammys because they'll invite them there just for their buy rates, just to get the viewership, and then they just, don't give them anything all night. And I don't know who's behind, like the Grammy committee. I don't know who makes that committee up, if it's a cultural thing, if it's an age thing or whatever, but I do feel like they are not in tune with some of the cultural aspects of what hip hop has done over the last few years, and even other genres as well. It's just they start placing people in these weird categories that I don't feel like they belong in. And then you've got people who do great numbers when it comes to views, when it comes to streams, when it comes to album sales, and then they don't win anything. And I kind of feel like that's weird. So the biggest controversy of the night was around Beyonce winning not just Country Album of the Year, but also winning Album of the Year. That album's been out close to about 2 years, the Cowboy Carter album, and for the first year of that album, it just got completely dismissed by everybody. A couple of the songs were pushed, but didn't really chart well. I don't think it sold well. There were better albums in that country music category that should have got a play. An album of the year, that's not even close to her best album, let alone the best album of this past year. If you remember last year at the Grammys, Jay-Z gets up there and accepts his award for Lifetime Achievement, the Black Grammy. He gets the Black Lifetime Achievement Grammy presented by Dr. Dre. And what's weird is he gets up on stage and he starts talking about how his wife is the most decorated Grammy winner of all time, but she never won Album of the Year. Fast forward to this year, she gets up there, and it's so odd how things are working out because you've got Taylor Swift on stage, and she's presenting the award to Beyonce for what I feel like is her worst album ever. There's been times in the past I felt like her albums were worthy of winning Album of the Year, but it wasn't this year at all. And it just all seems predetermined and predestined. Then let's talk about Taylor for an instant. Like, Taylor's sitting in the crowd, and she's overly hype and she's overly celebratory when it comes to Beyonce winning, and it just seems all predetermined and staged. She's clinking glasses with Jay-Z. She's saying well deserved. It just all seems predetermined to me. Like, if I feel like obviously these awards were bought. Jay spent a lot of money on promotion and publicity for the Cowboy Carter album this go round. That maybe they expected just because it's Beyonce, she would have done those numbers year one of that album, and she didn't. But yeah, the whole act that Taylor and all of them are putting on, that they're shocked and that they can't believe this happened. Once the Country Album of the Year award was presented, I knew at this point, like, it's fixed. You know what I mean? There was better albums in that category that should have won, or it should at least been considered over Cowboy Carter. And then the Album of the Year, obviously there were better albums than what was there, because there's albums that did better numbers. And then we get to Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar sweeps every category he's in for a song that I feel like is mid at best. I don't feel like Not Like Us is as big a song as it was pushed to be. Now, much like the Beyonce situation, we have found out that Kendrick Lamar was buying bot streams, and that they were pushing and promoting like payola type style tactics in order to push this song all summer. It was a big song when it came out. It actually, we thought, ended the whole Drake thing, but we'll find out during the Super Bowl halftime show that it really didn't. But Drake never fired back after this. He just kind of went on his way and started doing his own thing. and Kendrick continued to push Not Like Us to the point where it was almost like beating a dead horse. It swept every category. He walked away with 5 Grammys, and I don't feel like his album was good enough. I don't feel like Not Like Us is as hot a song as what it was in the summer. But somehow, some way, he still swept the categories he was in. And then you get to Rap Album of the Year, and this is the one I have the biggest problem with. Not for an obvious reason. As a fan of Eminem, I feel like his album was phenomenal. Right, to get that quality of album from him at this point in his career, we haven't really seen something that strong in a while from him. But he doesn't even win the Grammy for Rap Album of the Year. It goes to an album, Alligator Bites Don't Heal. And I was 45 seconds into this album and realized that not only was it not the best rap album of the year, but it also wasn't a good album. But again, it goes back to I question the committee, I question who votes on these albums, and I question their knowledge of a specific genre. But all in all, what are you going to do? This is what Eminem has complained about for years: going to the Grammys, being nominated, and he loses to somebody virtually unknown. And they're going to do what they want to do, and it is what it is. Um, you know, let's talk about Kendrick again. Kendrick in the Super Bowl halftime show. Um, you know, it. A lot of people feel like it's the worst Super Bowl halftime show of all time. I will say this: Kendrick's music sometimes goes a little deeper than just the 8 to 10 minutes to entertain an audience. And if you thought you were going to be entertained by Kendrick, you're sadly mistaken, because he wasn't there to entertain; he was there to educate. His music, outside of like Humble, DNA, Swimming Pools, Don't Kill My Vibe, there's not very many radio friendly songs in there that the average listener is going to catch on to and be like, yeah, I like that song. Squabble Up was a big single, but of course everyone was anticipating Not Like Us. I will say this: he teased the song when he said the line about I want to do their favorite song, but people like to sue. You knew the song was coming. Um, and and if the Grammy showed me anything, is that there truly is no friends in the industry whatsoever. Uh, when Kendrick walked up on stage and everyone in that crowd was singing the A minor line, that whole room has shared awards, has shared moments with Drake, and has been supportive and has been friends. But it just goes to show that there is no loyalty in this music business whatsoever. Um, I feel like, based on the Grammy moment, the Super Bowl halftime part was piped in. I felt like that was fake, because if you look at the reaction of the crowd throughout the whole thing, they were dead. Not one person was excited about that Kendrick Lamar performance in the crowd. Not to say people weren't excited to see him, but I don't feel like anyone was there, was interested after the first couple minutes. I felt like they didn't understand what was happening. I feel like they didn't understand what he was trying to present. And then when it got to that part, it seemed a little off. It seemed a little off sequence. It seemed like the sync was off a little bit. So I thought they maybe piped it in just to kind of get a reaction or to make it sound good on TV. Don't really feel like it was genuine. But yeah, so I mean, as far as being the worst Super Bowl halftime of all time, I don't think that's the case. However, if you look at historical Super Bowl halftime shows in the past, the artists that were there were performers. Shakira, J Lo, Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem. You got a little taste of Kendrick during that. But then you had Usher. We've had Rihanna. We had pregnant Rihanna that put on more of a show than what Kendrick did, right? And it's just a lot of movement going around. So it looked good for TV, but the average person in attendance probably didn't get much out of that performance whatsoever. Um, you know, I mean, everyone wanted Wayne. Of course, they're in Louisiana. There were a lot of things that they were hoping they could get from a moment in Louisiana with Wayne, with maybe Master P or something like that. If you're gonna do rap, why not do somebody local? A lot of people didn't know those songs Kendrick was doing. It's just the honest opinion of it. Because again, he doesn't have very big songs when it comes to you know target audience, average listener, right? Average listener is not sitting there hoping to catch something, a message that's trying to be presented. They're there to be entertained. So I won't say it's the worst, but it also obviously wasn't the best. I mean, they're saying the numbers were bigger than Mike's, but if you look at the influence Mike had at that moment without social media, without the exposure that you have now because of social media and things like that. Mike's numbers still look far better to me than the 133 million they say watched the Super Bowl halftime. I also saw a stat that said they lost a lot of viewership after the halftime show. So people definitely tapped in to try to catch what it was about, but they just really turned on right after that. Plus, the game was a blowout, so there was really nothing there to keep the people interested. So, a lot going on. I thought we were through with the whole Drake and Kendrick thing, but it looks like that's going to be going on. I think Drake's got something else lined up coming out, or, um, you know, I I don't feel like this is going to end Drake's career whatsoever. Drake is a far bigger artist than Kendrick by every aspect of it, except for like Grammy Awards. But if you look at Billboard Awards, Drake has more streaming numbers. Drake's are higher. Drake's got multiple diamond singles. Kendrick Lamar doesn't have but one. So um, all in all, like Drake is a generational talent that Kendrick is still trying to reach the level of success that Drake has had. Will he ever get there? Who knows? I just don't feel like this hurt Drake in any aspect. And these guys put out 5 songs apiece on each other, and Drake's still moving. He's still doing sellout shows. So, I mean, all in all, it is what it is. People are still going to complain about the halftime show no matter who's performing, but this one kind of fell short of expectations from a viewer standpoint, from the audience standpoint, not from the viewer standpoint, because obviously the numbers look like it was a success, but people on social media just complained about it. So, that's what I got for the B side of this. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into that halftime show, talk a little bit more about it. Get a little bit more deeper, get a little bit deeper with it. So that's what I got. This has been the rewrap episode 20. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm BJ the DJ. Catch you on the B side.
Homie, it paid off.